If you've been tuning in to our Human Evolution series, you've probably learned about how humans evolved from monkeys and how they got smarter at making tools. Now, in this video, we're going back in time to the prehistoric era to see how humans went from chilling in caves to building bustling cities. So, stay with us and let's explore this journey together. So, imagine you've just time traveled back to a really ancient time before written history. This period is called the Prehistoric Era. It's when humans started shaping the world as we know it today. It's split into three big chunks called ages: the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. These names come from the main materials humans were using to make stuff back then. But it's not just about tools. These materials played a huge role in shaping societies and helping humans become who we are today. Regular farming made life easier for humans. Also, because of this organization and order, it led to the formation of small and large communities alongside farmlands. When we examine any ancient civilization, we see that it started with farming. Some farmers gathered together and formed a village, then formed a city, and elected a leader, and civilizations were formed. The Stone Age. This era was divided into three main periods: the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic. It all started over 3 million years ago and was super important for human evolution. Now, one of the coolest things about this time was the invention of stone tools. Early humans got creative with rocks and other stuff lying around. They started off with simple, sharp pebbles for cutting and sharpening things. Then, they got fancy and started shaping other stones for chopping and making hand axes. These tools might seem basic to us now, but back then, they were a big deal. Making them required a deep understanding of how stones worked. And by figuring this out, humans showed they were getting smarter and better at problem solving. In this period, humans also figured out how to tame fire. Fire gave them warmth, protection, and helped them cook food. With these tools and fire by their side, humans started to climb up the food chain. Fast forward to the Mesolithic period, and humans started dabbling in farming. They planted seeds and watched them grow. As the climate changed, farming became easier and humans could grow more types of food. Plus, they started domesticating animals like goats, pigs, and cows, which were like all-in-one packages for food, clothing, and even help with work. With farming and domestication, humans started settling down in one place instead of roaming around. This meant they could build permanent homes and communities. In the Neolithic period, they got even better at farming and started growing enough food to feed their settlements. This era brought tons of new tools, tech, and ways of living. With more food and settled communities, the population exploded. And with that came things like different jobs, governments, and all the stuff that makes up a society. Bronze Age. Bronze Age, which lasted from 3300 BCE to 1200 BCE. This period was a game changer because humans figured out how to use metals like copper, tin, and bronze in their tools. With these shiny new materials, they could make fancier tools and weapons that were stronger and more detailed than ever before. Metal is easier to shape than stone, so they could get really creative with it. Plus, this sparked a whole new industry of artisans who made beautiful bronze art that people just had to have. Speaking of weapons, bronze gear really shook up how wars were fought back then. But it wasn't just about weapons. Some genius also invented the wheel. This made it way easier to move stuff around, so trade routes between different settlements started popping up. They could swap or sell stuff to each other, which helped civilization grow even faster. With all this trading going on, settlements like those in Egypt and Greece started getting huge. Eventually, they got so big that they needed some serious planning, and that's how cities were born. Society kept evolving, and things like trade, government, and writing started becoming a big deal. But let's not forget the most important thing: food. During the Bronze Age, humans got really good at farming. They figured out better tools and learned more about which crops grew best, where and when. This meant they could produce way more food, which was key to all the other cool stuff happening at the time. The Iron Age. Around 1200 BCE, people in parts of Europe and the Middle East started using iron to make tools. Now, you might think it's not a big deal, but iron was a game changer. It's way stronger and tougher than copper, so it meant folks could make better tools and weapons. Imagine being in a battle with your bronze gear and facing an army with iron weapons. The societies with iron tools were like the kids on the block. Iron was also easier to find and mine compared to copper, so more tools could be made without breaking the bank. And more tools meant more food could be grown and more buildings could be put up, helping society move forward. But making iron tools wasn't the only thing. It took some serious brainpower and tech skills to smelt iron and shape it into useful stuff. Cities weren't just making a few tools here and there. They were making a ton of them. Ironworking got really popular and spread all over the world, helping lots of cities and towns grow and do well. With trade routes getting bigger, cities and different cultures could talk and trade more than ever. They also came up with a handy tool called the iron plow, which made farming much easier and gave them the ability to grow more plants. And you know what happens when there's more food around? There are more people. Around 550 BCE, the Iron Age paved the way for the age of classical antiquity, where humans started writing down our history for the first time. So, iron tools didn't just change the way we made stuff. They changed the way we lived and remembered our past. Cool, right?